Hello there, welcome back to another video. Hope you all are doing well. It's summertime and we're looking for good summer fragrances, and in my opinion there is one particular brand that actually makes one of the nicest fresh fragrances in my opinion. They're generally very minimalistic, but at the same time they're mass appealing and they have a wide range of fragrances that appeal to a lot of people. And I'm talking about from the house of Louis Vuitton, and if you look at all of the summer fragrances, they are fantastic. And today I'm going to discuss about 8 to 9 fragrances from their house, and wherever possible I will talk to you about their alternatives, their dupes that are available for these fragrances. But the general idea of this particular video is to talk about and tell you what are their scent profiles and how are they different from each other. Okay, so that's the idea behind this particular video. So I've been to Dubai airport a couple of times, and Dubai airport actually has a very nice Louis Vuitton boutique there where they actually encourage you to try all of their fragrances, and I've tried quite a few of them there, and some of them are fantastic. And the thing is, the pricing of those fragrances are so high, especially in India. If you look at the Ombre Noir 200 ml now almost costing 56,000 rupees, and a Louis Vuitton Imagination costing up to 32,000 rupees plus. So mostly it's not affordable for everybody. So that is one part of the challenge. The other element is because there are a wide range of fragrances, it is kind of difficult to figure out which is how and what should you kind of get, right? So that's the idea behind this video, and I hope this will be helpful to you from that point of view, even if you're looking to get from an alternate house or from a Middle Eastern house, all of that, right? So you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get into the review right after this intro. So welcome back, and the first fragrance we'll talk about here is the Louis Vuitton Imagination. Now Imagination is the most popular citrus fragrance in this particular line, and it is obviously for a very good reason. So it has citruses, it has orange, but the most best part about it, it does has neroli as well, but the inclusion of tea note and the cinnamon is what makes this fragrance very, very zesty, sweet. At the same time, it's got that, because of that tea note, it's got a little bit of that herbal touch to it, and of course a little bit of that woody elements and a lot of ambroxan. Overall, it's a very clean, neat, soapy, musky kind of a scent, and that works absolutely wonderful during summers. One, because it performs really, really well. Second is the DNA. When you wear it, it smells clean, neat, and very, very mass appealing. Now, when you think about Imagination, and if you think about alternates for this, from the Indian houses, the most popular ones have been from the house of Scentadelic. I think Journey to Enlightenment has been one of the most popular one. You can also consider Halmam's Imagine as well, right? Very neat, very beautiful. If you think about Middle Eastern fragrance houses, then these are the ones that I would recommend. One is from the house of Cutledge called Caro's Blue Spice. Now, because Cutledge is not officially available in India, it's a little difficult to get this. Slightly on the expensive side, 3,400 rupees plus, but supposedly a beast mode fresh scent, which is very, very nice. On a budget-friendly price point, again, you have from the house of Ardal Zafran. This is called Saheb Intense. While this is of very high quality and much better performance, this performs a little lower, but you can definitely consider that as a good alternate of Imagination. One other fragrance which is currently trending right now is the Al Armain Aqua Dubai, which is also a beast mode version of the Imagination, but that costs more than 5,000 rupees almost, plus or minus, in that ballpark figure. So it's a little difficult, a little expensive to get, but still a very worthy fragrance. So primary one is Imagination. So think about Imagination as citruses, oranges, tea note, cinnamon, and ambroxan. Now, the next one that you can think about is La Eminicity. Now La Eminicity is again a very, very beautiful fragrance. It basically picks up on the citruses itself and then a lot of grapefruit as well. Now, along with the grapefruit, this special fragrance actually has another inclusion of a very nice, note or spicy note of ginger. Now, aside to ginger, I think there is also sage and geranium as well, and a little bit of this watery, aquatic notes to it, and a little bit of spiciness coming from those geranium and sage, but also the inclusion of ambroxan. Now, when you think about La Eminicity, the primary element that I have noticed is the loudness of the fragrance is way higher than Imagination. It's very, very loud and very beautiful at the top because of this grapefruit ginger blend coming, and that woody spicy nature is really, really nice. but then after a few minutes it kind of transitions more into those sage and geranium type of a vibe, where you get a little bit of that floral vibe to it. And then of course, because of that fruity musky element and the watery elements, it has a little bit of soft tone that happens. Okay, but where in one side, if you think about the imagination, which is very nice because of the tea note and cinnamon, here you can think about the ginger adding that spice notes, the geranium and sage adding that blend character to this particular fragrance. And overall, between the two, like I said, La Iminicity is absolutely very loud. Now if you think about alternates, again you can think about the houses that are available, but also I would here recommend Maison Alhambra's Immortal, which is a fantastic fragrance to consider. At this range, it's about 2,100 rupees, but what happens is you get a fantastic performance of 6-7 hours, very loud, beautiful kind of a performance. And we've also added this in decants as well, so by next week you will have it in decants. You can also get a BNIB from our website as well. Okay, so I will put in those details, but yes, that's also a very good fragrance to consider, which is the La Iminicity. Now for La Iminicity, there was a Fragrance World dupe as well, but I don't encourage that because that was very soft in performance. But if you think about the Maison Alhambra one that we have, which is Immortal, that is absolutely fantastic in its performance. Now, when you think about the next fragrance, which is the Afternoon Swim, now the Afternoon Swim is actually, a much more pleasant fragrance, because here it is citruses, oranges, primarily. Okay, there's a lot of orange, so because of which you get a very think about like almost like a soft drink. If you think about a lot of oranges, if you've eaten any of the orange fruit candies, if you get a vibe like that. Or you can think about a Mirinda type of a vibe, because you have a lot of oranges to it. So there is a good amount of oranges, there's a little amount of citruses, but then there is a good amount of ginger as well. So there is a bursty, zesty, fruity orange that happens along with a little bit of that ginger. Now when you think fragrances like Imagination and Azure Afternoon Swim, they are completely different, although they kind of have a lot of similar elements in the fragrance, but the way they are blended is different. So because of which Afternoon Swim is a lot more pleasant to kind of wear, because it feels a lot more fruity. Now Imagination, on the other hand, feels a lot more citrusy because of the citruses dominant nature to it, and the tea notes to it, and the cinnamon to it. Here on the Afternoon Swim, it is because of the orange and ginger, it feels a lot more fruity, lot more bubbly, lot more cheerful. Okay, and a good alternative of this is you can think about California Sunshine from the house of Centenarica as well, and you can think about Almam's fragrance of Afternoon Swim as well. But then I would also suggest you to look at Maison Alhambra's Azure, which is again a very good performer, does 5-6 hours, again 2,100, 2,200 rupees for a 100 ml bottle, does absolutely beautiful, very mass appealing DNA, very office friendly DNS, and generally when you wear something like this, you will actually enjoy these scents a lot, right? So Afternoon Swim, if you think about, and if you think about Imagination has got a little bit more tea and cinnamon, more citrusy, whereas Afternoon Swim is a lot more orangey, lot more zesty, lot more fruitier. And when you think about Immortal, it's completely different to these two fragrances, right? So that was Afternoon Swim. Now the next one here is called Pacific Chill, and Pacific Chill is, I think, probably the most underrated and probably the most loved fragrance for me, at least, because it has those nuances of citron, it has nuances of oranges, it has got a lot other things going, but the inclusion of blackcurrant, apricot, figs, dates, this make it very nice. So because of which you have a more fruitier, more citrusy, you have a lot of that orange zestiness, but a lot more fruitier element, and makes this fragrance absolutely blissful to wear. Now I personally love Pacific Chill compared to the other 4 fragrances. While I love this entire line of fragrances, but I really think the way Pacific Chill has been made, it is fabulous. And for me, the best alternative of Pacific Chill, especially because of that apricot note, the date and the fig, which enhances the entire body of this fragrance, I think Almam's version of Pacific Chill is fantastic. I have had all of them here, and I've actually utilized them quite a bit as well. So Pacific Chill is actually very nice. The Pacific Chill in Almaham, the note of that apricot and the fig is a lot more enhanced, lot more natural. It smells very nice. nice, but the problem here is the price point, the 250 ml going upwards of 2000 rupees roughly. And a good alternative is from the house of Maison Alhambra called Vibe. Now in Vibe, what happens, the peach note, the fruity notes, is toned down a bit, so it's a little more citrusy, it's a little more orangey, but the fruity notes are a little lower, so it's definitely well balanced. The performance is a little lower, I would say 4 to 5 hours is what you will get in Vibe, but a very beautiful mass-pleasing DNA, which is very, refreshing and, comparatively is very seductive also, to say, in a way of looking at fresh fragrances. If you want a high-quality alternate, of course, consider Almaham, but if you want a more budget-friendly alternate to consider, then look at getting Maison Alhambra's Vibe. Even this is being added to decants next week, so definitely check out the website, ThePerfumeExperience.in, for your decants list. Now, the next one here I'm going to talk about is called Cactus Garden, and this one I specifically bought out for this particular video. So I got a version from the house of Almaham. Previously, I had Perfume Cart as well, which I did not like so much. Now, I really liked Cactus Garden very much, especially if it has a daywear fragrance. This is fantastic. So because this brings in, it's basically a 3-note fragrance. It brings in the inclusion of lemongrass, citruses, and that's about it, I think so. And there's one other element that makes this fragrance absolutely loud. Now, what I liked about Cactus Garden is the fact that it is very, it's not overly sweet. It's got a very powdery, musky touch to it, but the lemongrass makes this a very sweet, sour kind of a fragrance. But the citruses, the bergamot which is there here, brings up a very classic kind of a lifestyle to it, and makes this completely different from all the other 4 fragrances that we have discussed so far. While this is very, very unique in its scent profile, the lemongrass makes this very, intoxicating in some way, where you can actually kind of, start using it. Actually, you will get a very good vibe from it, and a nice freshness, because the bergamot plays a very subtle role here, and the lemongrass actually plays a very sweet, sour kind of a, spicy kind of an element, which makes it very, very nice. Now, the Almaham version one that I've got easily 5-6 hours performance, even in bright, high sunlight. Also, it has worked very well. Performs really nice. It's got a very nice, sweet, spicy kind of an opening with a little bit of a powdery vibe. So definitely a good one to try out is the Louis Vuitton's Cactus Garden. Very beautifully done. Nice fragrance for summers to consider. Now, the next one here we'll talk about LV Orage. Okay, now the Orage is for me a very, very different fragrance. Again, I got this for this particular review. So the LV Orage is basically a more woody kind of a fragrance. It has citruses, but it also has iris in it. It has vetiver in it, and more of a woody dry down. So it is more sharper, more stronger, and does not smell so much citrusy compared to the other fragrances, but smells a lot more woodier, and it has also got patchouli and vetiver as well. So there is that scratchy, earthy type of a vibe to it, and a woody vibe. But something about this fragrance doesn't resonate well with me, and I've tried it multiple times, and I've somehow not been able to build a connection to it in some way. So I don't know why, probably because of the fact that it has got patchouli and vetiver and the note of iris with the citrus element somehow does not work for me. I feel this is a fragrance that's, for good reasons, not discussed so much, and somehow I would like you to avoid LV Orage. If you want to kind of try it, you can just probably get a decant and try it, but I would not really encourage you to get a whole 50 ml of it. Somehow the DNA is very not a very likable DNA as such, because of its inclusion of these notes. It's more woody, aromatic, spicy, earthy, scratchy, nothing very pleasant in the whole way. Now, while we are on the notes of woody fragrances, there is one other fragrance from here called as Contre Moi. Now, Contre Moi is actually very nice. I tried a Sentinelic version of it, which is very nice. The citruses, the vanilla, the ambrette, which makes it very nice. It opens with those citruses but moves very quickly to a vanilla kind of a dry down. That inclusion of a citrus and vanilla is something absolutely beautiful, because also of the ambrette and the cacao type of a vibe that you get. It's a lot more feminine leaning as such, but the general DNA of the fragrance is very nice, especially if you like a vanilla based fragrances, fragrance, and then Contre Moi is absolutely wonderful for you to try. Now, the good thing about Louis Vuitton fragrances are that it's all made mostly by Jacques Cavalier, who is a fantastic perfumer, master perfumer, and his blends are absolutely simplistic. At the same time, they are wonderful to try out. Now there are 3 more fragrances which I will give you a brief description about, because I've not been able to get an alternate of this or a sample of this anywhere except for one. So one is Sunsong. Now Sunsong has basically got citruses, musk and orange blossom, so I'm guessing it's going to be a lot more bitter and powdery. So that is one fragrance where I've not been able to explore much. The other one is Meteor. Now Meteor is actually I've been able to try out of alternate from the house of the US brand. I can't recollect the name. It was fantastic because I think that's one of the most beautiful citrus fragrances that you have tried. You have citruses, you have vetiver, you have a whole lot of things going, spicy elements, and absolutely most refreshing fragrance after Imagination is Meteor. Now the problem here is we do not have alternates here in India for this. The one that I got to try was from an US brand, not Dua, another brand, but somehow I've not been able to get a sample of it myself, but fantastic fragrance. Now what happens in Meteor is, because it's got orange and pink pepper and a lot of spicy element, it's a lot more non-sweety, zesty fragrance, which is absolutely beautiful. Now, we also have one more fragrance here called the Matcha Nova. Now, the Matcha Nova is actually a lot more rosy, lot more woody and oud as well, and that's available from Maison Alhambra as a fragrance. I suggested that in the Maison Alhambra videos as well, but that's a more of a evening scent, so to say, okay, but not of a day wear. It does not actually have a citrus background to it, but it actually has got more of a rose, oud, woody kind of an element, which is absolutely nice. Now the 2 fragrances that we are not able to get here is, one is Meteor, okay, we are not able to get, and of course Sunsong. If somebody has these dupes, some brands have these dupes, do let me know. I'd be happy to try out and let you know if there are some other fragrances that you can recommend. Okay, now but overall, if you were to take away from this video, the key elements that I would try to say is, Imagination is a citrus dominant fragrance with tea note and cinnamon. Okay, Pacific Chill is a fragrance that's got a lot more oranges, it's got apricot, it's got fig and date, so it's a lot more fruitier. Immortal is a lot more citrusy, it's got gingers, it's got a lot of spice elements going on. On the other hand, Azure is got a lot of oranges and a little bit of a ginger, but while Immortal is a little more on the citrusy side, Azure is a lot more towards the fruitier side. So those are the predominant 4 fragrances that you should think about. Cactus Garden, on the other hand, is a lot more sweet and spicy because of the lemongrass note along with the citrus element, and then LV Orage you can definitely skip. Contre Moi is fantastic, citruses and definitely vanilla going for it, and then one of the nicest is Meteor, which is absolutely phenomenal if you're able to try it, right? So that is what I thought about the Louis Vuitton range of summer fragrances, and if you want me to do another video like this of another house or anything else, do let me know in comments and I'll be happy to try that out for you. If you like the video and the information that you received from it, then definitely hit the like button, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on another video. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.